Good morning, December 22nd. Welcome to this NuRAN Wireless Inc. video. I'd like to introduce to you Francis Letourneau, our CEO, and Jim Bailey, our CFO. I would just like to caution any viewers of this video on any potential forward-looking statements that may be made. Let's begin by introducing Jim Bailey. Jim, you've recently joined the company as the CFO of the company. Why don't you tell the shareholders a little bit about your background and your role at NuRAN Wireless going forward?
Sure, Frank. Well, thanks for the introduction. So my name is Jim Bailey. I'm the Chief Financial Officer of NuRAN Wireless. I'm actually originally from Canada, but I now live in the UK, and we live about an hour west of London. I moved here originally to do my MBA at the London Business School. And at the time of my studies, which was in the early 90s, the entire telecoms market in the UK was undergoing deregulation. So the whole program of the MBA was focused on this industry. And that allowed me to gain a really good understanding of all aspects of the market on a global basis. After business school, I worked for a short time with a satellite provider called Inmarsat. And then from there, I moved to a North American cable TV company that was investing in the UK. And that company merged with several others in what at the time was the largest merger in UK history as the industry was undergoing consolidation. I then became CFO of a company called Telecel International. And Telecel was a mobile operator that had businesses in 12 countries across sub-Saharan Africa. And this, as it happens, is where NuRAN is now doing business and introducing our network as a service. So I got to know the region and the specific characteristics of these markets very well. By the way, Telecel was part of Orascom Telecom, and some people might recognize that name because they won a mobile license in Canada in 2008, which I also worked on. For the last 10 years or so, I've worked as a freelance consultant, mainly to telecom, media, and technology companies, and I provide assistance and advice in mergers and acquisitions, fundraising, and strategy. I've also worked for projects with tower companies and data centers and fiber to the home businesses, so I've kept a pretty solid foot in the telecoms market. I joined NuRAN as CFO in September, and of course took on responsibility for the entire finance function of the business. So this includes the day-to-day operations of the team and other tasks such as doing annual accounts and tax and so on. I was the first dedicated CFO of the company, and in that role, my focus is going to be in two main areas. The first of those is financial planning. So with the long-term projects that we're working on in the NAS side, we really need to have a long-term planning horizon. This is because there's a large amount of capital spending up front, and then the returns on the project come over its 10-year life. But in addition to the long term, I have to plan for the next 3, 6, and 12 months for the business. So how we will get these projects up and running and also fund our product development. Therefore, closely linked to the planning function is developing and executing the capital strategy for the business, which is really the second main area that I'll be working in. Against this 10-year model, we have to source funds, not only for capital spending, but also for our short-term working capital needs. And in making those decisions, we have to decide the best mix between debt and equity. In order to assist with this, I'm leveraging my contacts in banking and investment funds and other groups. And this includes here in the UK and in Europe. And it's actually quite an advantage in many ways to be here because I'm operating in the similar time zone to Africa and able to deal with our customers and suppliers and other partners. I'm also, of course, leveraging my contacts in Canada, who I've maintained throughout the years, and obviously consider Canada to be my home. I've worked closely with Francis and the team over the past several months, and I'm confident that what we've been able to build is a strong base upon which we can achieve the objectives of the company going forward. Thanks.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. Recently, the company announced a restructuring from NuRAN /NewTek Inc. to what we like to call NuRAN 2.0. NewTech Inc. was focused on engineering services. So, Francis, perhaps you can explain to the shareholders what this new NuRAN 2.0 means and what your focus is going forward.
Yeah, focus is really important because if you want to succeed, that's the way to go. So no more engineering service, selling development or test and validation platform. NuRAN will continue on its core competency, which is sell its solution. And by selling its solution, we also added this network as a service line of business that will be huge for us and has a huge potential in the industry. I call this this business like infrastructure as a service because NuRAN invest, deploy, operate the network under the mobile operator license. With all of this done with our core technology being the value proposition of NuRAN that differentiate us from our competition.
Thank you, Francis. Jim, recently the company announced a forbearance of its debt. So perhaps you can explain to the shareholders the significance of this and what this means for the company going forward.
Sure. Well, when I first took over as CFO, my hands were really tied because of the outstanding convertible debentures, which at the time were in default and had been in default for some time. We really had limited options and flexibility in how to deal with the debenture holders, who, as it happens, also had as security a charge over all the assets of the company. After extensive discussions, which I might add were led by Francis, but which I assisted on, we agreed to forbear to the end of December 2021. So what this means is for the next year, the debenture holders can't demand repayment of their debentures. Plus, there are a number of other concessions that we're seeking to agree, which includes paying the interest in shares, splitting interest in semi-annual payments, and other features, as we announced. But we also set a new price at which the debentures convert to shares in the company. The agreement will really allow us the time and flexibility to build value in the business by executing on the contracts that we have signed and are about to sign, and to put in place the capital strategy, as I alluded to earlier. By building value, our goal is obviously to increase the share price, and in doing so, the attractiveness for the debenture holders to eventually convert will become that much greater. And as we go along, we'll hopefully remove this debt from the company balance sheet. So now with the forbearance in place, we know what we're up against for the next year, and we also have time to implement our plans. The forbearance agreement has really relieved a great deal of pressure on the business, and it gives myself, Francis, and the team the time and flexibility to implement our NAS model. And this will definitely be to the benefit of all stakeholders in the company.
Thank you, Jim. Well, that leads into my next question, which you stated at the end, the NAS model, or otherwise known as Network as a Service model. This word or this term gets used a lot by NuRAN. Perhaps you can take the time, Francis, to explain to our shareholders what this Network as a Service model mean.
Thank you, Frank. Really good point here. We will explain that in two-step mode. So I will explain the various business model, and Jim will go through the financial aspects. So the network as a service is in fact a fully managed service where NuRAN, as I said earlier, deploy and monitor and manage the network. So we are doing this through various business models. First one is, of course, a fixed monthly fee that is charged over X amount of months. In the case of Cameroon, for example, this is a 10-year contract. The second business model is also revenue share. Revenue share is a portion goes to of the average revenue per user goes to the operator. A portion goes to NuRAN, and the third one is an hybrid model of these two, where the main concept is a build, own, operate. And transfer mode, where the asset will be transferred to the operator, that allow us to put a guaranteed amount monthly plus a revenue share coming on top. That gives a little bit of security. So, and this was the business model. And Jim, please carry on with the financial aspect, please.
Sure. Well, basically what the NAS model is doing is allowing us to build and operate networks in rural areas for mobile operators. What this does is provides an extension of the network in areas that aren't currently covered. We build these networks using our own radio access equipment, but we also pull in other suppliers, including the towers, the power systems, and all other parts of the site build. We've worked with the operator to identify the geographical location of the site, and also worked out what the population covered by that site will be. And then by estimating the percentage of people that will subscribe to the service, which we refer to as the penetration rate, as well as the average amount that will be spent each month, which is the average revenue per user, or ARPU, we're able to estimate what the revenue from the site will be and our share. We also build assumptions on the ongoing costs of operating the site, mainly being the satellite costs to relay calls back and forth to the main network. And there's also ongoing maintenance and operations and keeping the site live. So deducting these operating costs gives us our EBITDA, or earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization, which is really a standard measure used to gauge the profitability of a project. So as an example, in Cameroon, we're contracted to build just over 100 sites. The average revenue per year from each site is about 20,000. So this in total will generate 2 million per year from these sites, and this is our share. The operating costs all in are about 10,000, or 1 million a year. And this leaves 1 million of EBITDA to cover the financing costs and our taxes. The financing is usually provided by a local bank in Cameroon or in the markets that we're operating in. So over the 10-year life of the project, NuRAN will receive 20 million in revenue. We have also agreed that the number of sites in Cameroon could increase by another 150, which would bring in an additional 30 million over the life of the contract, assuming it runs for the same 10 years. So at 50% EBITDA, that's 10 million for 100 sites, and potentially 25 million over the life of the contracts if we do the additional 150 sites. Just to give an idea of the scale of the opportunity before us, we're bidding on new contracts now and think that we can sign contracts that will allow us to build 2,500 sites in the next 3 to 5 years. So I think just by doing the math on that, you can understand the upcoming revenue and profitability that's potential. So really, these NAS contracts are transformative for the company and its valuation. So in addition to our traditional equipment and engineering business, which we will maintain, we now bring NAS. And what this has is infrastructure in rural areas that we own, rural areas that aren't covered normally by other operators. We have a recurring revenue stream lasting for a period of 10 years. And we have EBITDA margins of 50% or more. So it's on this basis that we're confident we can build the value of NuRAN on the back of these NAS agreements that we sign and implement. And we're planning to do this in Africa and eventually worldwide.
Very exciting, Jim. Thank you for that. So the next thing I'd like to ask Francis, the two things that shareholders really care about is liquidity and valuation. And so what's the plan in terms of NuRAN driving valuation and increasing liquidity going forward? And in doing so, within that plan, does the company have a marketing budget to allocate sufficient funds to achieve this goal?
Of course we do. So Jim and I have been working extremely hard to secure that budget to start this marketing campaign starting early 2021. That will come with some news, and we will continue to do these live videos and some more marketing initiative. But yes, definitely, it's in the books to make it work for 2021, Frank.
Thank you, Francis. So in conclusion, perhaps, Francis, you have a few words to our shareholders while we go through this holiday break in terms of what to expect for 2021 from NuRAN Wireless.
A lot of good things. So last couple of months were allocated to resume operation addressing various burdens and obstacles. Now NuRAN team will concentrate on harvesting. We are laser focused on driving valuation for the shareholders to make a significant impact on people's life by connecting them for the first time. So, of course, we will continue to speak and engage with you, shareholders, to let you know our evolution and our transition towards this NAS model. But before I let you go, guys, I would like to join NuRAN team, including Jim, Frank, myself, to wish you and your family a safe and happy holiday season. Thank you very much, all.
Thank you, Francis. My name is Frank Candido. I handle investor relations on behalf of the company. If you have any further questions, concerns, please feel free to contact me at your convenience. Thanks to everyone for joining.